flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I want to welcome everybody here today. We got a few fair board members, I see. One of our local attorneys.
Back to Dave.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Bruce, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Carl, all in favor?
Aye.
Approve the minutes for January 3rd and 4th. Can we do them right?
I think they look like the meeting I attended. I move we approve the agendas of the two meetings.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. General public concerns. Everyone here is on the agenda. So move on, Diane, would you like to come up?
You bet. Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
I wanted to come today for two reasons. The first is to inform you of my game plan for hiring and replacing Nancy Carson. She's been in our office for 18 years and will be greatly missed. She takes her, excuse me, I'm having a cold. She takes her vacation, should be done probably the middle of April. So I'd like to get a new hire to start sometime in March and overlap by, several weeks, maybe up to even a month. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for me about that? Okay, that's how I'll proceed. Second, because we have new supervisors, welcome Dave and Eric, and also because the paper hasn't been reporting my quarterly reports accurately the last few quarters. I just wanted to go over my numbers and how you read my report. So, and that is on your agenda today to approve my quarterly report. So I have copies for you guys. And I colored them pretty because I like to color. Ooh. We give reports to the newspaper too, or not, guys?
Well, if you want me to get it right, you better explain it to me.
Well-
Now you want to do it wrong.
I'll pay you.
Well, I can see the confusion, and the county dollars have been reported correctly, it's just the state dollars. And I give you two reports because the first report is the total of state and county money, so page 1 and page 2. If you see the $62,533.05, that's total of state and county dollars. And the paper's been saying that is what I sent into the state, but that's total. I can't run a separate state report. But I can run a separate county report, which I do on page 3. That's $20,169.34. So that is money that goes into the county for the quarter. And I highlighted the numbers, like all the yellow numbers equal that 12,000 that's the recording. The rest of the numbers are just a one-line item, so you can see by the color how they match up. And also, if you look at the report, all the numbers that have a general ledger number on the side is county money, and then the bottom of page 1, the ones that don't have a general ledger number, those are state dollars, as is the top of page 2. So to get the true numbers, you have to take the $62,533.05 and subtract the $20,000 of county money. So, the paper would report $42,383.71 as what gets sent into the state. And if you guys are okay with it, I think I'll change it. I still like to give you both totals and then just the county report, because then I attach the receipts, the 3 months of receipts that total up to the county money, which is the $20,000. Does that make sense? And what I just did for the first time this month, what you guys did and what I give to Peggy, I think I'll just attach a little receipt, so when you guys approve it, so you don't have to do the math, it'll show total, it'll show county, and it'll show state. Unless you want me to report it any differently, or if you don't want that just separate county report, I don't have to give you that, I need to give you the total, but it's hard to look at the receipt and know that it's correct without running a bunch of totals. Does that make sense? Does
Yes.
anybody have any questions about
No.
that?
Keep doing it that way if you don't mind.
No, I just want it
That's nice.
understood. And, you know, the county dollars have all been right, but it is just kind of confusing when you don't know what you're looking at. So.
Are you gonna keep color coding it for us?
Well, I do like the color.
That's entirely up to you.
Kinda nice.
Well, it helps you,
Helps you
know how
see
they
it,
put it
yeah.
over.
You can pull it out quick with a quick one.
but I really wasn't planning, I was planning on putting a table on the top, but if you want me to color. I'll-
I'm just teasing you.
So, okay, well, that's all I have, if nobody has any questions for me, concerns, other than to offer your condolences for Nancy's meeting, or,
Yeah,
you know, stressed out about that, but we'll work through it.
yeah. Everybody gets to retire someday.
Good for her, yeah, good for her.
Thanks, Diane.
Yeah, thank you.
We need a motion on that?
Yes.
I make a motion, we accept her quarterly report.
Second.
Second, Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, okay. You guys care if you come up a little early? Probably not, do you?
Nope.
All righty. Got Jeff Hazelhoon, Jeff Robertson, and Paul Davis from the Humboldt County Fair Board.
Sure. We usually take turns talking to you, but,
Seems like you get the job.
yeah, I got elected again. So what I did is I put together a copy of everything that, just a kind of a summary like we did last year. Kind of shows our tentative agenda for this year, and also some information. The economic impact of the county's fairs in Iowa, it's from the Iowa Association of Fairs. And I just think it's kind of interesting to show everybody how much, attendance and fair income comes in for an average for the fairs in Iowa, and the 4-H and the livestock entries, and how much money goes back into the community from the county fair. It's pretty amazing, and we do that, that's all compiled, and then we go to the state convention. Our board went down to the state convention again this year in December. We have a 16-member board, and I put a copy of our board contact information in there. No one changed from last year to this year on the board. We've got a full board, and we've got some really good board members that really help out in all aspects of the fair. We've got all our events planned for this year's fair, and we've got some things booked for 2018. So our board's really on top of things. What we've done for maintenance, basically we've replaced all the lighting down there at the fairgrounds with LED lights. All our outside lights now are LED on the pole. Our interior lights are all LED in the event center and most of the other buildings. We've been working with doing most of our electrical down at the fairgrounds. We put a transformer in the campground this year, something that was inadequate, and it was good to get that upgrade done. So the thing we're gonna do next year is basically continue with those electrical upgrades. Basically, we're putting all the grounds under wire and taking the poles, the wires off the poles. That's kind of a hazard down there. That's pretty high voltage. And a couple of years ago, we had that voltage come down on the ground because of a lightning strike. So our goal is to try and get everything underground. The other thing we're doing is we're going to take the road straight in from the east, straight into the infield. We're gonna build a new road. That will allow the semis that come into the infield and livestock to be dropped off to come straight in and not have to snake around the old bathroom and by the old buildings there. Because that way, it's gonna be a safer environment, we think, for big trucks coming in and out of the fairgrounds.
That'll be on the south side of the 4-H,
Yep.
food stand?
Yep, it'd be south, it would just come straight in. We've got 2 power poles there we've gotta work around, and it's fairly expensive to move them. That's part of our whole logistics with the electrical going underground. I don't know if we'll get to that point yet, so the road might be kind of one lane for this year. We'll just see how our funds go, and it's gonna take quite a bit of rock, and as you know, from the county roads, it's pretty expensive, so, that's kinda what we're doing. The old red barn, that we use for some horses there, that's gonna come down, and there's a tree by that we're gonna have to come down. And then we're proposing to build a newer, building similar to the big white building there, the machine shed, and use that for horses and cattle for the shows, and then some horse stabling temporarily during, our horse races. We've got about, 12 to 13 horse races a year, and we're out of room to stable those overnight, so we need some more room there for that. So the ground got froze before we got our tree down in our building, but the horses have been moved out of that building, and that's been approved by the board to do, so we'll be getting that done this spring, hopefully.
That non-fair income, that includes the horse races and so forth?
Yeah, any off-fair income would be, that. It would be like, we have one motocross race off-fair, we have about, 12 harness racing off the fair. We have, we rent out the event center for wedding receptions and meetings and things, and that would be off-fair
Looks like
income.
it clears you about $20,000 a year, difference between the income and expenses for non-fair revenue.
As a state, as a whole,
Yeah.
yeah.
Winter storage rentals on that too, Jeff, I guess?
This is just, he's looking at the state report,
Oh, I see.
which is an average for all the county fairs. And,
Well, that's all of them.
yeah, that's everybody, that's just that's not our numbers specifically. But financially, we are balancing our fair every year. We've increased our budget about $5,000 this year for our fair, and it seems like it's just taking more to book these events. They jump up $1,000 or $2,000 at a time, and by the time you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday events, it's about $5,000, so we're trying to keep up with that. We've been balancing our fair every year. We now do have our, debt paid off on the last improvements we made, so financially, I think we're in pretty good shape, so. We would like to request the same amount that we got last year from the board, and we feel like we're putting it to good use, and we really appreciate your help with us.
Is it getting harder to find the events? I mean, like the rides and stuff, is there getting fewer and fewer of those? Or
Yeah,
still-
yeah, there's, as far as the carnivals go, the carnivals are dwindling, because of help and because of the cost of fuel and transporting and everything, and we've been able to get a carnival that has been working with us for multiple years now, and we schedule our fair after winter set because it's kinda in their path as far as where they're going. So basically, we have our carnival booked, the year before, so we have our fair dates out the next year before we have this year's fair, so we can kinda plan. In the past, that's been a problem, and you go down to convention, there's over 100 fairs in Iowa, and there's about 15 carnivals, and everybody wants to be those last 3 weeks of July, so that means there's about 25% of those fairs are not gonna get a carnival, but it's not gonna be one of ours. We're in really good shape with that. So,
I did notice the improvement in the sound system down there this year, you can hear well.
yeah, that has been a project, but we have buried all new, underground, wires for our sound system. Those old wires, when we went to disconnect them, there wasn't any, they didn't have to, they just came down. It was
Together and just rusty as the Titanic, I don't know how it ever did work.
yeah. So those improvements underground, although you don't see them, should last 50 years, the way we did them. And all the wires going up inside the buildings, we don't have anything exposed outside, so we think we're doing it right.
What's the long-range plans for grandstands? Just
I-
think about it, that's all we can do?
No, I think we've got some ideas on that. I think one thing we're trying to do is get this underground wiring done, and we've got plans, we've had a blueprint provided by local contractor, and we paid for the engineering on that, so we do have a plan for it in place. Just takes a lot of money.
It does.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I'd like to publicly thank you guys for, working with the food pantry. Wednesday, we're gonna have the mobile food pantry. And last time it was at the old fire station, but last time it was a lot warmer. So you guys have, opened up and we're gonna have it at the food court. And I'm thinking it's, 4:30, but, you've allowed us to bring that down there, and it's gonna be a great help for Humboldt County, and it works well that you opened your doors and allowed us in there, so we appreciate it very much.
Well, you're welcome. The board unanimously wanted to do that, and it didn't take long for them to decide, so,
Well, we appreciate it.
yeah. We got a good board, like I said.
I wanna thank all the members of the board too, because you guys go to a lot of work for that fair. I mean, it's a busy week for all of you, and we're probably 20-hour days. Maybe the last two is quite so much work, but...
Yeah.
You do a good job.
Can be a load.
Yeah.
We'll take your request under advisement. We start working on the budget this month, so we'll see what comes out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a few minutes before we go to break, so we'll get on to claims.
Well, I'm not gonna give them to you, 'cause I didn't get them right.
I reviewed the claims. It looks like $165,174.89 for general claims, and for drainage, $33,497. I move the approval of there.
First, can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, committee reports. Do you wanna start on that, Bruce?
I think the only thing I had was Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we met with Mike Borland on the ag wells, and trying to work on some of those that'd be the 4th. But I guess I will also restate that the mobile food pantry is gonna be this Wednesday at the fairgrounds for Humboldt County residents.
All right. Tuesday, we had a daycare meeting. We're still chipping along with that, trying to get things in order. And then, Wednesday, I was at the board meeting where we had to talk about drainage. Thursday, Friday, we had a meeting. A group of us got together talking about, since Prestige has got their presence coming into the county area, we're trying to get approval and get community up going, so we get housing and those kind of things, so we get some of those people in here. They think that maybe as much as 120, 150 of those execs might live in Humboldt County. So we gotta make room for them and make affordable housing. So that's one of the things we had. I think that was it for my week.
Didn't have anything.
Eric, did you have anything?
Well, we just attended the Public Safety Commission meeting, and nothing earth shaking there. Looks like everything's moving along nicely, and I'm just getting up to speed on it. So that was the most recent meeting I attended. Obviously, I was here last week at the additional drainage ag well meeting with you folks, but really nothing to report other than Rick and I attended that, and there was nothing earth shaking.
I also had, 1 PM on Wednesday meeting with Mike Borland. I did go out to Rick Townsend's retirement, coffee Thursday afternoon. We had a nice attendance there for, all the county employees there, and 29 and a half years of service, I believe, isn't that right?
Could be.
I think so.
Didn't
I think that's what it was. Been a good employee. And, I guess the process has started to replace him, so.
That's out of the Hardy?
But it's held here in Humboldt County Shed, he worked in Hardy. So,
Can we get that book, and do you wanna put the
There you go.
claims into the office for him to...
They have to sign first.
Oh.
Peggy, did you do anything out in D.C.?
Yes, lots of things. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of uncertainty. on the Hill as to how things are gonna go with the transition. Had some good tours, met a lot of, Bill Peterson, the president of the Iowa State Association of Counties, introduced me to a lot of his counterparts. Got to see the new naval offices. Spent a lot of good time networking, like at breakfast and at lunch with different states, different counties, just learning what they do. I've learned that our problems are not too bad compared to what some of them are having to deal with. So, this meeting for the new county directors and their presidents was to get us introduced to the system. And, we had a couple of events at night, the mixers, so we could get to know different people. Also, met a lot of very nice people, made some good friends, and, as far as the training for the new county directors, we got to just sit in and hear the review on, what a new county director coming in would do, and, just an upgrade for them. So it's a good meeting for Bill, to learn things. Not so much for me to learn, but I learned what he does, and it impressed me how much more he does behind the scenes that we don't see.
I think a lot of states lean on Bill too, he's looked at pretty highly.
He's very well liked, yes, you betcha, and there were several times they would ask him, and I didn't realize he'd been president of the association before, so he had to run the meetings in the past. It wasn't his turn this time, but, and he knew the right places to go, and to go see, and what to do, and, how to catch the cabs, and how to get to where you needed to be, so. We were went to the White House one day, and they have it all blocked off already. You can't get anywhere near, you could stand across the street, or you could walk on the street along the side, but you can't get anywhere back in where they normally let you walk back in, because they're getting everything set up. They've got bleachers all set up already for the inauguration, and we did drive by the Trump Tower, so we got to see what that looked like, and it was just a very busy 3 days. They just flew by, and we weren't sure we were even going to get to fly out on Friday. Our flight was supposed to leave at 8 o'clock. They posted that we were going to be late, and we weren't sure if it was because of the Florida issue or if it was something else. They didn't specifically say. And then they came back and said we were going to leave till 10:44. So Bill went ahead and booked us another night at the motel, because he said in his past experiences, they usually cancel. And so we were thinking, we gotta have somewhere to stay, we can't let our rooms go. And so we were in our rooms resting, and he called from his room, and he said, I just got an update on my phone, our flight's leaving at 8:20, this is at 7 o'clock. We threw everything together, zipped down, got a cab. Luckily, there wasn't too bad of traffic, because in D.C. at that time of night, it's just crazy. Got out to the airport, and then they started posting these, the plane's gonna leave at, this time and this time. There wasn't even a plane there. The pilots were there, they were all waiting, no plane outside. And then they'd post something and say, your plane's gonna be leaving at 9:10, and it was like 9 o'clock, and it's like, well, we don't even have a plane.
Currently, it's in North Carolina.
So finally, when the plane came in, everybody cheered, everybody was there waiting, and we got on the plane and got home about midnight, so. We did make it back to Des Moines anyway, and I stayed the night in the motel there, because I wasn't gonna drive 2 hours back home.
Yeah.
We were just zombies.
Sure.
So. But it wasn't, you catch the pace of DC. We did get to see Joni. Joni was just excellent. She's in great shape. She's representing Iowa very well. She's a good representative. And the people in her office were very friendly. I commented to her, oh, you have such nice young people who work here. I said, they're just like people from Iowa. They give you hugs, and they offer you food, and she said, they are from Iowa. Oh, that's why.
Okay.
So, but she's a sweetheart. We did not try to stop in and see Grassley. We knew he'd be pretty busy too, so, and she was too. She was in between meetings, and she just gave us, about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Welcome back to the real world.
Yeah, welcome back to the real world.
Well, if you guys want to take a short recess before our 9 o'clock, I think we might as well, because I think we got everything hashed out, unless there's something else we need to discuss.
I don't have anything else for you, so,
Sounds good.
okay.
Drainage, wind blowing?
Drainage at 9 o'clock.
Drainage, wind blowing?
I move we go to drainage, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, first, second.
Second.
Second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, about 9:03 or so. We're in drainage. First thing up in drainage is DD 114, a continuation of a reclassification hearing.
Just give you a real brief summary where I think we're at with this. We did the original reclassification. A lot of emphasis was put on the fact that the drainage was being blocked under the railroad. We've re-examined the report, the reclassification. The latest one we've submitted had the railroad paying like 13.02% of any repairs.
These are the future repairs.
Future repairs, correct. In discussions back and forth, I don't know if there's anything in writing or if it's a verbal agreement on the lower percentage. Trish, is that something in writing as far as the agreement?
No writing.
But there's been conversations with the drainage attorney, and between him and the railroad. Percentage arrived at was like 8.5%?
That's what I thought.
You see the letter we got?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
I mean, some of the people are happy some of the time, not all the people all the time.
Yeah. This letter points out that any adjustments to the railroad, as far as downward adjustments, would go on to everybody else, and that's true. The question is arriving at what the proper percentage is for the railroad to be paying. The last attempt the commissioners and I made arrived at this 13.02.
Just comparable to other commercial properties in the area.
Right, it's actually a little lower than the city streets and co-op properties. City streets and co-op properties have more impervious areas, so they should be higher. It's a matter of how much higher. The idea is that if, like when we're looking at commercial properties, the amount of impervious area like house, garage, driveway that they have would cause their benefit to go up. Same situation with this. We considered the city of Livermore and the co-op and the railroad all commercial ventures. The railroad would be less because of the water flowing through their ballast. So, it's just a matter of where you go from here, I guess.
It's probably a good compromise.
Well, it's one of those things that, do you spend your money in court, or do you try and work it out here? The use has changed through the years, farmland's become more valuable. Co-ops are big business in this state. Railroad is too. They need the drainage to have stable base through the tracks, so. It's a matter of how you handle that agreement that's been reached, I guess.
Ryan, you represent the railroad? Yeah. Do you have, I haven't gotten a written amount. This 8.5, I haven't gotten that in writing anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Is that currently what you're proposing?
Well, I talked to your legal counsel. What we're proposing, what we think we're entitled to is, anywhere from 4 to actually 0. And so the letter almost was kind of I wouldn't call it a compromise, but an understanding that, hey, at a certain point, it becomes too costly for everyone to fight about this. And so we don't get any benefit from this district, but we'll be willing to accept 4%. I understand from your legal counsel that he has just informally talked to me about 8.5%. And I've talked to the railroad about that, and they said if it was 8.5%, they wouldn't pursue anything further. There's no agreement, because there's no official action taken by anyone here, but those have been numbers that have been talked about by me and Doug Strike. So I just back up a little bit on kind of, just to pick up on something that Rick said about what the purpose is of the drainage district, and which is to reclassify, to assign benefits for every parcel. And Rick talked about how, from the railroad is concerned, which is true, in some cases, if it helps our road bed, our right-of-way, and lessens the cost of repairs, then that is the benefit to a railroad, and the railroad pays for that. And there's Iowa case law on that, and there are instances in Iowa in which that is exactly the case, and we pay, a pretty good percentage of the pie. In this case, though, we don't get any benefit from this tile, and in fact, I think Trish can correct me if I'm wrong, but our railroad actually came before the drainage district, and so we were fine before it, we're fine after it, and we have culverts that allow natural water flow to come through. But what happens is this drainage tile is unnaturally draining water to our right-of-way, but then through it, of course. But if this district were not here, we would not be any worse off. We wouldn't spend a dime extra on the railroad. And so, for the use of our property, we get no benefit from it. Now, on the flip side, if there's farmland that's drained, that becomes productive because it's drained, well then, you guys know better than I do what an acre is worth if it's unproductive, and what an acre is worth if it is productive. So that is a significant cash value. So that's really, it is a very case-by-case specific thing, and whether our classification is similar to other commercial property really isn't relevant. It's always looking at every piece of property and saying, how much benefit, given the use of that property, do you get? So again, we had somebody, an expert, come out and look at this and looked at how the water flowed, and you have that full report on that, but we really don't get any benefit. But if 8.5% was it, then Union Pacific would accept that, and this matter would be over.
I've been here trying to see Livermore, and I, of course, have to disagree with you. The railroad, if you do absolutely nothing there, and if they're not responsible for anything, I don't believe that the land at that time, with grass and the way it was then, it probably wasn't developed, it wasn't agriculturally used, that they maybe didn't need it back then, when the railroad was first put in. But now it's agricultural land, water moves, wind moves, the whole base in life has changed here. And I believe that if there was no tile, no culverts, no nothing, their base would be affected, most definitely. Just because it would get marsher, there's water draining that way, there's tile there, life has changed. So way back when, yeah, maybe you're right. But not anymore, because even look at the wind, the way the wind blows. It never used to blow the way it was because everything stopped it. There was grass stopping water, and that's why their base was okay then and now. But now because of agriculture has changed, life has changed, they do benefit. And I would like to say that they benefit way more than 8%. And is the city benefiting any more when they used to have 10% and now they're 17%? Has their benefit changed at all? Our benefit's the same, our streets have been the same, nothing's changed in the city. So why should we pay so much more when I feel they're definitely benefiting because of the environmental changes around us? So I would like to, definitely not less than 13%. And I don't want the city to have to pay 17%, if not higher. If they get 8%, we pay even more. So I don't think it's fair to the city, and I'm representing Kurt Hanemark, the elevator, everybody up there. But it's just to give the railroad the break because they have the money that they can go and sue and do stuff. I don't hate to say it, it's kind of lame, because they have the power and they have the money and the city doesn't, and the farmers don't either. And that's the way we get. Thank you.
We had looked at benefits to the railroad, and the commissioners and I actually came up with this a long time ago. basically deals with how we felt the railroad was benefiting. And the way the ground lays out there, there would be water standing, I believe, within the right-of-way off the tracks. So I believe your system is helping keep that dry.
I interject something here.
Absolutely.
I just went in and asked what the original benefit was when the district was developed. The railroad's benefit back then was 33% of the benefit.
We didn't know that, we had made an open records request for the original classification and had never received it, so I did not know that.
Well, I just 5 minutes ago, it's something I thought of, I was wondering what you paid back originally. And I understand now that a lot of the benefit goes to agriculture. So the railroad evidently back then thought they did receive benefit.
I can't know what the railroad thought. The railroad, of course, being out of Omaha and having lines throughout counties throughout Iowa, sometimes it doesn't challenge them. Sometimes it doesn't even know what its benefit classification is. It didn't know in this case, for instance. So I guess I wouldn't assume that they agreed with it or didn't care. Sometimes it's just that there are other issues happening. But I understand.
Bring that point up. So evidently at one point they thought they had a benefit greater than 4%. What I see in this issue here is the railroad has deep pockets. And we're butting heads. And it's gonna turn into a legal battle that could extend quite a while. We're looking at approximately between 8.5 to the 5.5%. Are we willing, put it this way, to pursue a legal battle for a couple of years for that kind of percentage?
Can I give a little background information? 'Cause,
Sure.
I mean, obviously, I know
You
about
in
this.
that area, you know about it?
I said I've known about it. So this work has been done. It is fixed. Didn't, not maybe all, but a major portion of this work involved reopening a tile underneath the railroad right of way.
Yeah, that was 90 to 95% of the work.
Okay, that in itself, 33% from back in the day. Yes, the railroad, regardless of what they think, they do need to let the water get underneath their right of way so it doesn't create a lake, dam, swamp next to it for the, flooding, ponding issue. So, yeah, I highly disagree with them trying to lower this rate below 13%, and I don't even think that's really high enough. This to me is the railroad setting precedent, so anytime there's a tile underneath their right of way, they're gonna say, that's agriculture, you fix it. And then it goes back just like this to the drainage districts, and that's really unacceptable. I believe that, yeah, it's not hardly worth the litigation. Does anyone have the numbers between 13%, which is somewhat agreeable, to their, 8.5%? Can you tell me the number?
A rough idea.
Roughly,
Did we
their
spread,
dollar figures?
thinking we spread 95,000? Did it end up more than that? Do you remember, Trish?
Yeah, it's probably like $5,000.
Differential,
Yeah, difference between the two.
but, so the...
But we're looking at future repairs right now, because it's a reclassification for down the road, what the railroads will do, what they think their benefit is.
But the repair recent is still not resolved, is it?
Yeah.
No, it's taken care of.
It is done.
Yeah, and if I could speak on that briefly?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, so we did pay a significant amount of money for that repair.
So this is done, this is moving forward.
This is
Yeah.
right, about the future repairs, and part of the whole litigation that we dealt with before is, okay, so there was an allegation that this was on the railroad for these repairs, that it was their fault. But that's not how a reclassification is supposed to proceed. If there's something else going on, some other legal battle, that's different from, and Rick can tell you, that's different from a reclassification. A reclassification doesn't take into account any fault for any repair, or why everything was repaired, but it's looking forward in the future, who benefits from this. So we did pay, because of kind of what you had suggested, and because the city of Livermore, I think, had
We
said
paid an
that,
additional almost 11,000 according to our first assessment.
had said that they thought it was our fault. We denied that, but we paid a significant amount of money for that. So, that's really, and Union Pacific's biggest interest here is making sure that the law is followed. And I'd encourage you to talk to Doug. Doug knows this stuff. Doug Strike, the legal counsel, better than anybody in the state. Because it's not just this, we actually don't think that you'll be doing a lot of repairs. We hope that there won't be any repairs, that it won't matter. And so really, it's about the
And
number,
any
about how
repairs
the
won't be
process.
very expensive like this last time, because these are the 2 times it goes under the railroad, have
There you
been
go.
replaced with solid pipe.
There you go, that's what, the point I was gonna make too.
These were expensive repairs.
And when we started on the expensive repair bit, I remember the farmer sitting right here that day and said, we don't know whether the railroad's gonna pay for this or not, but we want it done.
It needs to be done.
We'll pay it if they won't. The railroad came through and paid for it. I think it was a fair offer on their part.
The initial payment, I'm not gonna say the amount, but it ends up about a third of the cost, so that...
Yeah, and this meeting has nothing to do with that, we're going back.
Right,
Right, so this is moving forward, they are looking for...
What is the railroad's responsibility?
To put down in record...
future.
For future drainage, this drainage district, what's their percentage when there's another project, whatever that project is.
Right, and Rick's right, absolutely right. The expensive part of any repair has been done,
Well,
the work under the tracks.
Thus far, but
That's right.
obviously moving forward, you have to come to an agreement.
Yeah.
What they're,
It took care of
and
both
what I'm
crossings.
saying is, our attorneys looked at this. He thinks it's acceptable,
At what percent?
it's 8.5.
Our attorney is in Doug?
Doug's right, yeah. And Rick come up with the benefit at 13.04. So there's the area we're in. Whether we want to pursue the 13.04 or settle for the 8.5,
Or pay legal fees.
or pay legal fees for a couple of years and find out what a shed says, which you never know what they're gonna say.
If you did a $10,000 repair, the difference we're talking about is $450
Yeah, in the future.
in the future,
Say 3-4 years.
from 13 to 8.5.
True, but still.
I know, yeah. Well, and that's where the commissioners and I ended up at the 13.0 something.
Well, how many times have you get, in the commissioners worked on this? This is the first.
Oh, no.
I mean,
No.
this is, you two are the only ones that have been in on the previous, so for
yeah,
the
true.
us three, this is like coming into the dentist to get a crown fixed, and, well, I'll do it without the Novocaine, you know, it's just like, we just keep going over and over this, and somewhere we gotta come up with a compromise to figure, if I'm living in Livermore, I don't wanna pay any more than I have to, and if I'm the railroad, I don't wanna pay any more than I have to, but somebody has to, we have to come up with the numbers to have the agreement, so... Can we get along and somebody shoot a number and we'll, 13 to 8.5? Can we meet in the middle? I mean, is that I don't know.
I think the study's been done then, to determine the 13%, that's pretty hard evidence. And, that may not be fair enough, but that's a lot more fair, I believe, than the 8.5 that they're offering. Because moving forward, something will be done. I mean, there will be...
Well, coming from 33 at the original.
Yeah.
That's, let's not go back to...
No, I know.
Historically,
We went
Historically,
way back.
still, it's setting precedent, and 13 is way more fair at this point than 8.5. And we're not even talking about spending any money right now, right?
No, that's correct.
I think, Brian, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, so, there has been a lot of speculation, I mean, Rick's looked at it, but in terms of what the record evidence is, we have had engineers go out there and write a full report on exactly what the topography is. And so there's a lot of hunches. People think that they know where the water flows and why it flows, but really the only evidence, significant evidence in the record is that full report. Now, Rick has looked at it, he hasn't testified to why he thinks it is. You know, he made his conclusion, but he hasn't measured and done all these things. But what our expert has done is said, look, any water that was flowing through there is going to go through those culverts. And so with our district, our railway is gonna be just fine without the unnatural drainage going through it. And our embankment is built up a little bit, so even if there's a little ponding every now and then, I mean, that's the information that we have that you don't necessarily have. It doesn't cost us any money. That happens all the time, where there's a little water here and there. The railroad will be just fine if that happens, and so it really doesn't matter to us whether those drainage tiles are there or not. And that's what the body of evidence is right now.
Well, certainly, you're always gonna find evidence to support your side of the story, so.
It's gonna come down to the point where we pay now or pay legal fees.
But as trustees, we gotta make the decision. Us 5 people here have to make the decision for the district, whether we wanna pursue this.
There's a lot of unknown stuff here, you know, you're starting to talk legal fees for something that's just setting a percentage and not fighting over money that's on the table.
I mean, we could spend thousands of dollars to save in the next 10 years, $500.
Yeah, but we're also looking out for the good of the areas affected as well, and some may not be in our lifetime, but
Right.
some point in time, another major project will probably come up in said drainage district.
Yep.
And someone will be held, you know, more responsible than the railroad at that point for said project. And then it could be a lot of money.
This would be used for repairs only. If there was an improvement project petition for, it's different, then it'd be reclassified again.
This is basically to fix any broken tile out there. You have something to say?
I'm with Bruce. We should meet in the middle somewhere. 10 and a half, you know, they're gonna stick on 8. Their, people that do engineering, their stuff is going to actually have the railroad in place. I think the railroad wasn't there, which we are happy to have the railroad. There's no doubt about that. But if the railroad wasn't there, everything would flow and there'd be no ponding, you know. So there is an effect on the railroad being there.
The railroad
We
definitely
want the
thought there was a benefit at one time, when that pipe was put in, they made a good share of it, so they knew there was a benefit.
If there's any way to
Let's-
expedite this, in the meeting in the middle deal with the parties involved, us in particular, yeah, the meet in the middle compromise seems fair. That, Bruce mentioned it, I don't think that's a bad idea, people that are affected.
Well, 8.8 versus 10 is, gotta be just a real minute number, in my opinion.
Well, I'd just make a recommendation, we table this, and we'll talk to our attorney this week. Is that all right with everyone? And Ryan, do you wanna discuss any more? or you think there's No point in talking to the railroad anymore?
Oh, no, I mean, I thought you meant, do I want to discuss it anymore with you? I didn't know. I will report back on what.
Maybe I brought something to your attention that you weren't aware of, where they previously paid, they thought there was a benefit before, and now you're saying you have no benefit.
No, I'll certainly talk with them. And they're happy to listen.
Okay, why don't we,
So if we table it and have Doug get a hold of them, or
Yeah.
after we visit with Doug?
Can Doug visit with us?
have Doug...
Well, after we visit with Doug, then we'll have Doug,
Bingo, but the sooner the better, because
Right.
it's pretty
Yeah.
evident, it's what
we
we're
just keep
up
pushing
against.
and they're kicking the can down
Yeah,
the road.
Let's just continue this hearing, and have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second that.
Second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That's what we'll do.
We
We'll have
continue
conversations this week,
for one more week, continue to next week, is that the plan?
maybe 2 weeks from now.
Well, we have that one in
Because we had a busy
2
week
weeks, don't
Next
we?
week's we're really full. Rick, what's your schedule?
Yeah, and it'd just be
The
like,
23rd?
The 16th, we have 125, right?
and, I'm gonna present 3 open ditch reports to you too.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't, I better write that in there. Open ditch. So you wanna go the next week, to the 23rd?
I think so. I know we'll be working on budget that, but this may not take too long.
Well, hopefully by then, we're gonna have an agreement.
Yeah.
You want me to, try to make a call and see, Rick, if I can get a hold of somebody that you specifically? I don't know that I can, but if we can take a 5-minute recess.
That'd be great.
And if-
Well, either that, or we can go to the other side, and we got 2 more,
Yeah, I can step out and come back in, and maybe we have to put it off again. If you're looking for an answer from me, it may be that we have to go back 2 weeks, but if I can get you an answer on something different right now, I think
Yeah.
that's sufficient for
That'd be
me.
we have 2 other drainage issues that we're
Yeah.
gonna play with here for a
Well, tell you
while.
what, why don't we just,
Table it for,
reconvene this here at about, 9:44. We'll sneak that in there.
How's that?
that works. So you need to redo the order, or the
Yeah.
motion?
Yes, redo that.
Well, let's do it at, reconvene it at 1:14 at 9:44, I guess. You want somebody second it?
I'll second it.
Chairman Jones.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess I get to play that part.
That boy Bruce.
Gee, many Christmas.
Step right up to the
Yes,
plate.
he does, he's looking at it,
Yeah.
he's taking charge already, well, he is the executive vice chairman.
I'm just,
Thank you, Mr. Biden.
I hate to say it, but, I'll just keep my mouth shut and not get
I hate to pay
recorded.
your legal fees.
I hate to pay legal fees too,
But, yeah,
but how many times are we gonna,
I need to get 6.
We're off.
6?
You'll grab 6.
Are these new copies or 6, or these all?
Those are old
what we
copies.
got?
Those are old copies, I've got, we're gonna show you
Got all
again.
this stuff for us?
Yeah,
What's, 6? You have something on drainage?
yep, I have, that's the one where we had the tile main hearing.
This is out east, right?
Yeah, it's over by Thor, and,
I got 4.
Yeah.
6. These are all new?
yeah.
Okay.
The preliminary report is still okay, but I've reworked the reclassification to allow for
All right.
tile out of the district and those things.
We can probably grab some of those chairs out there.
Bring in a chair.
Gib, you're supposed to be somewhere where it's warm.
I am, it's pretty warm.
Well, we paid the heat bill this month. I got 4 right here. We can't be having that much new information, can we?
My sons are both someplace where it's warm, so.
Oh, you're doing the
You're
chores.
gonna take business.
So I have to take care of business.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we know who not to mess with then.
Let me give you 2 reclassification, results here. Looks like I may need to make more copies. The one I just gave you shows the 1-inch coefficient for the upper main. If you remember last time, there's a lower main where, everybody drains through. And we made a couple adjustments since we met last. Sub 3 of 6 is the area in blue, I think it is on your drawing. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Well, let me, oops, I'm Get you one of these too. Okay. Here. No. Okay. Some of the people aren't paying now.
For the upper end,
Excuse me.
you said you made some
Bill.
retirement.
That's a big bell.
Oh,
Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, sorry.
I don't know where my mouth went. I'll sneak.
You look at mine.
Here's a basic, yeah.
Good, and I pre-tested them. Make sure they were 15.
To do what?
Oh, yeah, let's pass this around, have everybody sign in. And if everybody would check your cell phones, make sure you're good.
So this is still the one inch, oh, this is the lower, excuse me.
Yeah, the one I'm giving you now has the lower and the upper on it. The reason I gave you the other one is because the second one I'm giving you doesn't have all the information, on it that this one does. This is the upper and the lower together, this would be total. Yeah.
Maybe the other one.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay. This is, 86 Main Tile Continuation Annexation Hearing.
The annexation discussion last time, brought some discussion on tile that we're taking water out of this watershed. This is mostly at the east end of the blue that you see on your drawing. So that was something that needed to be adjusted. If surface water goes one way and tile the other, we often split the benefit. So they can be in two districts at one time. Also, with the blue area, a lot of the water, a majority of the water in that area goes through a newer tile that will not use the lower main. So, that was another reduction we needed to make. So in the lower main, there will be a significant reduction in cost to the people in the blue area. And I think that will affect the annexation discussion, because technically the surface water and everything in the blue area would get to the open ditch. Subsurface, no, it's been tiled. So we've tried to make the adjustments accordingly. The good thing about the lower main is there's so many people sharing in the costs. There are not drastic costs involved there. So we're still recommending the annexation that we had given you. And a lot of that is to get everybody within the areas that you see in different shaded areas. So we're still recommending that annexation go forward and be approved. I know we'll get into discussion then on particulars on the pre-classification. We're changing the terminology a little bit in drainage with calling pre-classification or classification that's done pending the project being done. In other words, this improvement has not been done, but if it is done, this is what would be the best attempt at classifying the benefits. So, be glad to try and answer any questions, that people have. I do have a sheet here, when we get into the discussion on the improvement and the pre-classification, I have a breakdown of what the cost would be per acre, based on, like, for example, if someone had a $500 per acre assessment, what would their levy be per year on 10 years and 20 years? This is expensive enough for a project, you probably will want to at least consider a 20-year payback period. But that will give people an opportunity to see how much that varies. I've given you the 1 inch, when I added figures here, for like a 15% increase in cost, they get double the drainage. We still are willing to bid 1/2 inch and 1 inch if people want that, to see the difference. Costs hardly anything, probably an hour of my time, hour of the secretary's time, to include that. So, we'd look for input on that also, but...
Rick?
Yeah,
Being this is a little new to us,
yeah,
the pre-classification, so you know, which is pre,
yeah.
how confident are you, because obviously it's not done, it's just
Right.
numbers, and this hasn't been done, but I think we're in pretty well agreement, it's a very good idea. Since you've worked through this, how confident are you with those numbers matching up to when, say, the project is completed?
I feel we have everything within 5 to 10% of what the end result would be.
Realizing, yeah, that's it's not over,
Yes.
it's an estimate, if you will.
Exactly.
But it's a very close estimate, then.
Correct, that is correct. The commissioners could have some
There isn't
feedback.
a lot of history of sand being in that area, as far as I know, and there's not
I mean-
rock, you're not gonna run.
No.
But you know, it is still, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know, but it's
Yeah.
a pretty high percentage estimation.
Yes. We use the procedures, you know, you've used several commissioners here in the Humboldt County. We've kind of worked into a system of how many points per acre on soils and how much for proximity and everything. There's small adjustments as the years go by, but nothing drastic, so that's why I feel quite confident in this.
Well, for our benefit and the benefit of the affected landowners, just so you know, but it can obviously change a little bit, but
Yes.
And obviously, if you see something when you go through the pre-classification, I'm sure, and you're really good about this, bring it to our attention.
Yes.
If there happen to be, you said sand, rock, incidentals, more potential.
Right, and we have dug up this tile in many locations, so we know what the soil is like, we know there's no rock. We haven't hit, any sand pockets we hit were very small, so yeah, we have pretty good history on this one to feel pretty comfortable with it.
Okay, just the clarification,
And-
it's still it's an estimate,
Yep.
it's not the final dollar.
And if we bid this properly and give the contractor enough time to build it, I'm hoping we can beat our prices,
Yes.
in our cost estimate. There's a good chance of that. Should be a lot of competition, as long as you bid it soon enough and give them long enough to build it,
So was,
We're getting into the next topic.
Yes, we are. I'm sorry.
So let's stick on the annexation part here.
well, the first time we talked, most of them were pretty much in agreement on the 1 inch, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's why I took it, and that's why I just, yeah.
But we still gotta go both ways, right? Until you have them...
Well, we need to get our annexation hearing done.
All right.
There you go.
Before we get
Yep.
into the construction
Yep.
theory. Okay, what's the next step in the annexation process?
Basically, approve the report, you can ask for comments from the landowners,
And we've
and,
had a couple of objections to being annexed in, and we've lowered the cost due to the fact that the water goes the other way.
right. I feel that should make enough difference, that the costs are not gonna be that great. I mean, yes, it's still a lot of money when you figure for the farm, but there's some benefit there, definite benefit there.
Is it good time?
They still have the right to tile that direction, if what they're doing isn't taking care of it, yes.
So how much, did it drop then? For like for our tile that goes the opposite direction, how much did you, drop it?
I dropped, the area that's tiled the other way dropped 75%, the rest of yours dropped a minimum of 50%. So, that's the smallest reduction I put on. Some of those right at the outlet, I dropped more than 50%. And then the ones way at the upper end that were tiled the other way, I dropped those 75%. So, And again, that's on the lower main, which is not a big cost compared to the upper main, so,
Yeah, if you look at the cost per acre, they're $215.
If you do that lower main, will that help upper main without making any improvements?
oh, yeah. The lower part of the existing system is in terrible shape.
And
Some of it's
that's
in
what I'm
rough.
wondering is, should we be doing both at once, or do the lower main and see whether that solves our problem?
Well, it would definitely help, no question. It's a matter of, we're to the stage now of deciding on this improvement. And there's not been a remonstrance on the improvement, not even close is my understanding. So it falls back to the board, you've got all kinds of decisions here, as far as going forward or not. Some of these areas will get payback very quickly, no question. And we did hit the areas that drowned out regularly harder than the rest of them. So, yeah.
So is the annexation based upon the improvement?
Um,
Is it the current?
actually, it's just more a correction of the boundary and how it's split, yes, yes.
The annexation will go through whether this project is done or not.
Right, that is correct, 'cause the tile are there, we're just paralleling the old tile. So there's a system in place already. Yeah, proximity be the same for same parcels as on the old as the new.
Looks to me like the annexation's a no-brainer. We need to get everybody included,
Mm-hmm.
and then decide the other later.
Yeah, there'll be a formal report on the benefit then later too. So.
We have a point where we can make a motion for the
Yes,
annexation?
need a motion
I would make
for
a
that.
motion for the annexation to move forward.
I'd second the motion.
Second by Carl, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to DD six, main tile, petition, preliminary engineering report hearing.
Okay, I just wondered if you wanted to drop back to the railroad thing.
Oh, good.
Ready when you are.
Yes, well, yeah.
Just take a minute,
We'll take a
everybody.
minute and visit with you, and then you can, so we're gonna go back to DD 14.
114.
114, continuation of reclassification.
I spoke with, Bob Belt, who has met with two of you, I guess, or at least maybe three of you before, I remember when Bob was here, but, at Union Pacific, and told him about what's been happening here, and gave him some of the information, some of that you shared, and he understands it's a new board. And to some degree, we don't wanna relitigate what we just settled, and that is a lot what you spoke of, and I could tell you a lot more about that, but,
Fine.
but we're not really wanting to do that, and we firmly believe that we really get no benefit, and what they want, it's not so much about the $500 or the $1,000 or whatever, but it's to get it right, you know, kind of a rule of law perspective. All that being said, they are good corporate citizens, and they are cognizant of how strong people feel about this and what it does to the city and what it does to other people. And so, while they don't think it's justified in terms of the facts, being that good corporate citizen, they do want to resolve this so everybody can kind of finally put this at an end. And if the board were to decide that 10% is the number, then Union Pacific would take the matter no further.
Okay,
Sounds fair to me.
I get a motion from the board.
I would so move to agree to 10% to the railroad. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
I think that's...
Motion by Eric,
Second.
second by Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We good with
Thank
that?
you.
Adjust that?
Thank you, Ryan.
We're done with
Thank you.
114 completely
Yeah.
then.
Perfect.
We'll have to just get you, Trish, the points
Thank you.
adjustments, make
Yeah,
that
we
happen.
adjusted good to him, or we're good?
I think we're good,
I think we're good.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good trip.
thanks.
That's a good move.
Yeah, be done,
Well,
That's a good deal.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna go back to DD number 6, main tile.
Okay, we did a preliminary engineering report, came up with costs, and then what you see here is, the pre-classification based on those costs. For example, the upper main is the one we'll concentrate on at this point. Not much was adjusted on the upper main, it came from the lower main. The upper main uses all of the lower main for its drainage. That's just how it's laid out. So, what you see there, the cost per acre, I wanna hand this out just so you have something to look at. The question will come up is, if this goes forward, how long of time do you put this over? This is a summary of, might be two there.
Got it.
Okay.
That's the
I know our office manager, I don't know if she was trying to impress you or what, but she made copies on the,
Good stuff.
really good stuff.
Yes, you did.
That'd be in our bill, won't it?
That's good. This will enter into discussion on how long you wanna spread this over. It shows it over 10 years and 20 years. It's amazing, like a house loan situation where you can cut the time in half and it doesn't
We should get that back
at all, so. Yeah.
Well, he was visiting Amy, he's gonna be good. The principal of
This is a significant improvement, major improvement. A lot of the system just has an 1/8" drainage coefficient. You'll see drastic improvements in production out there. We did weight the land that was flooding heavier. When I gave it to you last time, we had starred those in red and marked them. We used aerial photography from 2 different years to come up with the areas that were ponding a lot. So, what you see here is the result, of that adjustment. On the legal size sheet, you'll see that some of the parcels don't have anything under the upper main. That's, the benefit to the area in blue is that they do not use the upper main at all. So, any of those that are blank under the upper main will be paying on the lower main because that's what they use. In the blue area, we've shown the old tile and the new tile. The new tile is the one that crosses the road and goes into the open ditch. We use the 0 to 100 points. And we use soils. Soils takes care of several factors. The need for drainage, the slope, crop production ability. It just takes into account several factors. So we rely on that heavily, and this report is a result of that. Now, this is the first people are seeing this. I don't know if there's gonna be a consensus to go forward or not with this. It's one of those things that people look back, when it's working, and are glad that they've done it. It's a lot of money for a lot of people right now, but good payback. Iowa State has put on, training sessions where they're saying with this kind of improvement, you should be able to get payback in about 7 years. Now, this is expensive enough, it might be longer than that, but, yeah. Drainage pays. It's easy for me to say that, I'm in the business, but, yeah.
I think we have to take the landowner's decision and go accordingly.
Do you have any comments from the...
Well, I see on this one here for Christopher's, they have a 40 up here in the green. And we have proof that that tile does go to the southeast. But the way it looks to me on your new paper here, you increased what she's gonna pay.
Yeah, that happened because some of the cost that was going on the lower main ends up, the total project cost is the same. So when we reduced those in sub 3 of 6, it had to go somewhere. So, yeah.
But still, all of her water goes to a different ditch.
And we'll work with that before this report is official. I mean, if you have documentation of that, we're looking at probably the 50% factor again on that, or another 25%, I would say. So it would have been a total of a 75% reduction. We'll be glad to look at that, and we use that kind of information all the time.
But I'm kinda like what Gibb said, I said this 2 years ago, it sure would've helped if we, I think it helped tremendous if you put just that lower main in and see what happens. Because before it was blocked, it just
Oh, it
didn't
was,
work at all.
yeah, they were repairing it almost every year.
Right.
Yeah.
But man, with a 54-inch, 1,800 feet, I think it was, you're gonna get rid of a lot of water straight to the ditch.
It would help. The upper part is still smaller than it should be.
Yeah.
And that's why we
Well,
go
I wish you
in.
would've done it 2 years ago, and of course, we haven't had big rains right now, but I would've liked to see what it would've done.
What it would have done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of a way we could do that. I mean, you could always drop back and do part of a project, I guess. I still feel
Well, I mean,
this...
it would even help even if you ran it up to the gravel road a half a mile, wouldn't it? You get rid of the water faster if you got 2 tile, if
Yeah.
you put an equalizer up on the gravel road up there.
Yeah, it would help. Yeah, that would all help.
Would you lose your efficiency in not having a good bid for a smaller project?
Probably not. Again, it boils down to giving them enough time to fit the project in their schedule. The hard part you're gonna have here balancing is that there was not a remonstrance, it wasn't close, but it's major expense, and multiple people feel doing the lower part would help, and it would help.
It would help.
A lot. Is it enough from the engineering design standpoint? No, 'cause you'd still have the upper 2/3 of the district not benefiting.
And we all know that there's gonna be more tile in the ground in the future,
Oh, yeah.
and not less.
Right.
And doing this down the road is gonna cost more than it does today.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
I wish we would've put the bottom one in first.
Well, it would've been good done 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. There's been,
You're gonna start wishing.
Yeah.
the repair's been going on for many years.
That was your fault.
Is there any other comments on public?
Yeah, I've got a question. 35 acres, and it's gonna cost $20,801 for 35 acres.
Expensive.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any possible way I can get that much good out of it.
It's gonna take a while, no doubt about it. 7 years is probably the absolute
I would
minimum.
like to see the bottom part done first, and see what that does for us.
I don't like it when people get the price, what's that gonna cost me per day to make it sound cheap? But, at $700 an acre, over 10 years, it's $95 an acre, and over 20 years, it's 61. The idea is to try and make it plausible, make it so that it works for everybody.
I'm not familiar with this parcel of land, but is it a piece that occasionally grounds out?
I've owned it for 55 years, and I've taken a crop off every year.
Okay.
I'll have to admit, I did replant different times.
So there's added cost that hopefully you won't have, hopefully.
Yeah.
The Gibb second, he's right here in the upper Main, and then likewise, the Deershide Family Farms, that's Phyllis's farm, and Lori's farm, and, the huge expense to those, and they're really not property owners that are asking for this or want this.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, they don't own enough acres to get a remonstrance.
Stop it, right.
Okay? So, yes, they're gonna get some benefit, but, likewise, Phyllis's family would like to see, let's see how this lower main works. Because I think that'll give them the relief that they need. I mean, it's not, is it, you know, to her farm, you're talking about, one of these parcels has got a $36,000 assessment on it for a 40. And that's just the upper main, not including the lower main. I mean, she's got one of the highest expenses here, $1,144 an acre in that 40, and then $1,076 in the other 40.
Yeah, this district isn't one that has a lot of land out there that's gonna help pay. You get less than a mile away and they're not in the district, so.
So when this new tile goes up through, what size are you going on?
Well, I think did the 1 inch had a 54 inch at the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But what side of the main tile going up?
Oh, which side of the main
Yeah,
tile?
are you gonna go the east side or the west side? Maybe you should probably go on the west side when you leave that south fence line, because that's where most of the acres are. You get up to gravel road, then you should go on the south side, because you got all of Donders and Wordland Farm and
Oh,
everything that has to go this way. And there isn't hardly any acres on the north side of that main. If you put that new main on the north side, nobody's gonna be able to, everybody on the south isn't gonna be able to use that north.
well, and
The new main.
we'd interconnect the new and old main every so often, several
Oh,
places
that's
through
That's
it.
the next thing I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you, if you put an equalizer.
Yes, we do, yeah, several through there.
That's different.
And, but we're willing to look at just what you're talking about, because we're gonna have some junction boxes on this to get them together, so we could cross over.
Okay, well,
in a location.
that means a lot then, if you got junction boxes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That, okay.
And we'll have.
So everybody will get a benefit out of it then?
Yes, yes. Those will be connected back in, and the junction boxes, you're probably all aware, we bury them about 2 to 2.5 feet, so you can farm over them, but there'll be GPS locations on those, so you can go out, dig 2 feet off and see what's going on in that system if you want to.
But you'll have two tiles
Yeah,
going, dumping
yeah,
in?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
I call it an equalizer.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've done that earlier years, we've called them equalizers, actually, just got away from that,
Right,
so,
right,
yep.
okay.
We wanna use the old system as long as we can, but yeah, the idea is to get everything we can in the new system, and have a 1 inch coefficient with just the new system. Keep in mind that some of this is just an 1/8 inch drainage coefficient, that's why we only recommend, currently, that's why we recommended the whole length. Yeah. And you've been through the hearings on the branch B, that's gonna go forward. The idea would be, to make a decision whether if this goes forward, whether we combine it with B or not. Either one of them is a good-sized project by themselves, so we may bid them separately.
Well, I think we've talked things over here pretty well. I think this is a project that needs to move forward, because it's gonna do a lot of good. I know it's a lot of money for some people. With that land, the way they're...
When is this, per Rick, you know, he's just getting better all the time about breaking stuff down.
We're working on it.
When is the decision made between a 10 and 20-year
Just,
On the levy?
yeah, by levy time.
Which is, you gotta pardon me, I gotta get...
Oh, no, this is
Completion
good.
of the project when it's ready to distribute between the landowners.
Say that again now, when it,
When the project's completed.
And we know the actual cost.
okay, when it's done,
When it's done,
Yeah.
the actual cost, then we can levy it, and then we present the option to spread it over 10 or 20 years.
Usually payable in the fall.
The earliest it would be is next fall.
true, but that's when they could make this
Yes,
determination,
Yes.
the time. And it can be between 10 and 20 years, too.
yes,
It can be
and,
15.
yeah, and you can do 20 and they can pay off parcels as they go if they want to.
Right, and I know
So-
some knowledge I've learned that you can pay that off more.
You can pay the head, but you gotta pay on a parcel completely off, is that correct?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
So I mean, but, okay, so that's at the completion to decide the levy and all that.
Yep, yep,
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to move forward with this project and, drainage district number 6.
Got a motion, can I have a second?
Is there any way you can break that down? Lower and upper?
Yes, we'll have the quantities, we'll know what quantities go with each one, so we'll know the
Yeah, I
cost.
was wondering, if you're voting on it to go ahead with it, can you vote on the lower or the upper or both?
Well, the petition, I believe, was for everything,
Yeah. that's the
so they're
problem.
acting on the petition, so, yeah,
So it's it's all the project or nothing.
pretty much.
We've already decided on the lower, right?
You decided on branch B.
Branch B.
I thought we just,
That's all
okay.
done.
We already,
Yeah, the hearing's
The
over.
lower main had been approved.
that's all right.
it's lower main.
The lower main.
April.
Okay,
branch B.
okay.
We're just doing the top part.
Okay.
Right, and so,
I'd
yeah, our
That's
question.
forgotten
what I
that.
thought.
I'd forgotten
That's why I
that.
was
Thank you.
confused, and
Yeah, sorry.
But you broke it down, but you never really broke the complete project down. It was always considered doing the entire project.
Correct. I
I
could
know
go
it broke out to upper
yeah.
and lower, and it doesn't really make sense to do 2 separate projects per cost.
Not with the lower and upper here, I don't think, I mean, it's a good project, it's a good size project, we should get a lot of interest from contractors. That's why I'm hopeful of getting prices better than we have in our estimate.
And I understand the concerns of the landowners and the one, obviously, yes, maybe there's more direct, immediate benefit, but if you don't do the other, the upper, at that same given time, all the discussion is, yes, there's gonna be more tile, that's just gonna become more of a problem.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is.
recommend both and then move forward.
And preliminary engineering report.
Yeah, and make that official.
so we got a first and a second,
Did
right?
we get the second?
David?
Dave, okay, David had the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'd appreciate any input from landowners like this tile situation, if there's other things like that out there. Information as far as private tiles that help decide which side to be on, all of that, so we can include it in the design.
And that's what, we discussed that. And before about getting tile.
This is just a side topic. I'd throw it out to the landowners that if you want to voluntarily give our drainage clerk a copy of your drainage maps, we can include it in the files so that 70 years from now, they know. If the land changes hands and people forget where tile are, or which way they run, like you say, that one runs that way, you know. It'd be good to have in our records.
It's very helpful in many ways.
Helps them to know when the construction is, where the connections may be.
Yes. Gives us a better handle on how many tile connections to expect. Maybe that's a point we jump over to the other side to avoid hitting
If we know
50
where the
laterals.
tiles are coming from and,
Very helpful.
you know, where there are certain areas pattern tiled and
Very, very helpful. Indeed.
okay,
Would those be recorded or just kept on file?
it just be kept on file.
I'll be coming back to you with plans and specifications to help set a bid date for this. And I'm gonna be asking for, giving them plenty of time to build it. I know Nels Peterson's in Badger are very interested, and I'd be thrilled if they get this job. They're very conscientious, so we've been in touch with
So you're hoping to
them.
do this in how long?
So,
Yep, I'm you're usually the total cost is less if you allow them to work in the summer. So we would pay, it's much cheaper to pay some crop loss, rather than pay more for the construction by giving them a tight schedule. So this summer, cleaning it up by fall, and then paying what needs to be paid for crop
So when
loss.
do you think you'd be wanting to bid it?
March,
okay.
my best projection at this point. I'll know more in a week or two.
Okay. Are we done with you?
Yeah.
We didn't shoot a flare, you want us to be a little more dramatic?
I thought I kinda passed it, well,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know if you had to
We just
Take
gotta
a-
get ready for...
take a vote.
Brace yourself.
Yeah.
But I guess not everybody.
You fellas just spent $100,000 for me.
Yeah.
Well, we
Sorry
hope we
about
get
that.
that income too. Yeah.
It's
It's a lot of money.
more than we paid for the land to begin with.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's hard to
very,
say.
yeah, it's very commonplace anymore. Yeah. Yeah, my father-in-law used to tell me about buying his land for $200 and some an acre, but it was decades and decades ago.
Some wetlands remediation, I just will get my opinion in there. I think that's government confiscation without compensation.
Yep, and we'd like to work with the landowners on that, to appeal that. We
Well-
won't charge you for it, just to get some kind of submittal put together to at least get those acres reduced. And we have nearly
How
all,
many acres do you have in there so far?
on the main part, 4.5.
Oh.
So,
It's not a lot.
no,
It's not a lot, but, is it taken off on our taxes?
No.
That
the
this-
wetlands isn't, no.
No, it isn't.
No,
But yet you can't farm it.
yeah,
Pardon?
You can't farm it, so you gotta pay taxes on it.
yeah.
Kinda like cash rent.
We'd be glad to help you make a submittal to FSA if you want, to get that reduced, but we have nearly all of them. Just last week, we got some, and we entered them on our index, and Branch B has a little over 5 acres, I think, total, and the main has a little over 4 acres total, so.
Have you done anything with Branch B?
No, we're gonna now come back with plans for that, with a date for bid letting proposed, and a completion date proposed and all of that, so, in the next 2 to 4 weeks, so.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, the input helps.
50 years from now, we'll be glad it's in there.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
You gotta look at the future.
Oh, I know, it's so hard right now.
Especially with $3 corn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is four times.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
right?
The old one?
You did that way,
Oh, I know. That's one of the four, I do know that.
Got anything else for drainage for us?
Yeah, just a reminder that I'll be back with those 3 preliminary engineering reports for open ditches, 3, 4, and 3-47. I'll be back with those reports, and what I'll be,
Is that the
most of them...
Mark's deal? Over by-
No, that one, you're still waiting,
Up by Hardy.
no, well, yeah, one of them's by Hardy, and one of them's down by Thor. It's basically the eastern part of the county, 3 of them, one right above the other, so we'll have location maps for you. We also have the DD 125 appraisal report hearing next week.
Next Monday, right?
Yeah, so we may need to rely on some outside help, like a soil scientist or something, because Gary, I know, Gary Nave's putting together a summary on loss there. And it's true that our digging disturbed a large area of ground. What did that really do to drainage? You're probably all aware that we did get the contractor out there, he dug up 3 wet spots, there were no problems. Some of that probably relates to the soil being disturbed. The drainage patterns were changed, everything, so be interesting to see what Gary comes with for a report. And that's where I think you might want a soil scientist to look at it, to evaluate
You
it.
looking for damages?
Yeah, yeah, future damages.
But he also paid half of that bill for those guys out there digging.
Who would?
Gary paid
Oh,
half of
oh,
that
okay,
bill for them
good.
guys out there digging.
Well, that's good of
I
him.
thought that was fair.
Yeah, that's good of him, that's real good of him.
I mean, he...
Yeah,
He requested it,
yeah,
you know, he could've done it cheaper than Denver, but
Yeah.
if he would've found something wrong, Denver would've said, we're not paying it, 'cause it's we should've been called.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I know.
We
No, that's good,
kinda
that's,
visited with him and...
that's very good.
He agreed to paying half of that,
Okay,
so
that's good.
we thought that was a
Okay.
win.
That's fair, that's good.
You did nice work. We'll be done. I think we're fine with it, so.
He said he will talk to Ryan and get the specifics and everything should be fine.
Okay.
So you did a good job.
I'm gonna be working with Trish here on drainage. We're gonna, you set up that meeting for the landowners with ag drainage wells to be closed yet. I wanna work with Trish. I brought information from the office
For
as
the
far as,
names?
yeah, for which ones to notify. So I've got some drawings that we should be able to use. And if need be, we've got topography even on some of those from past projects, so we can get pretty specific if we need to. We'll try and be general and be sure we get everybody we need to.
So the 26th,
Got stuff on the wall out there,
Okay,
or they can provide a screen.
okay.
They got
That was
six
the
of
21.
26th of the Osco, 9 and 3, 9 and 1. 9 o'clock, 1
Okay,
o'clock.
can I get a motion?
Moved by drainage.
Motion by Carl,
Second.
second by Bruce, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, going back into regular session.
Hey, you guys are really getting your teeth to the fire here immediately. But this-
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, yeah.
Work feet.
Drainage is a breed by itself. Yeah, yeah.
That was the...
Did you see me drop the reclass file?
Big power.
Oh, George, I always dread that, no, this morning I did. Yeah.
Yeah, far, so I'm not...
Oh, that's what I said to Trish. I'd have been chasing.
Bruce, while you're talking about it, and what Rick was talking about, that's 26.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. The mine,
Drainage well.
yep.
Are you guys good with the 10?
No.
We're not...
Let's just get it over.
That's what-
Why keep dragging and going on and on?
Well, you know, you spend the time doing the reclass, and then you come back, well, we're still not happy. Well, nobody's happy.
No,
I mean, just do it, let's get it,
yeah.
move down the road.
Oh, boy, Bruce, I like your thinking, we cannot table every other topic, we'll be here for, we won't live long.
He enjoys it because he comes...
He doesn't give a shit.
He comes from Omaha.
Doesn't give a shit.
Yes, it did.
Drive down the road, okay, I'll spend the
Oh,
night.
yeah, well, I
He doesn't care, the railroad doesn't care. Dirty bastard.
Bastard, should've stayed at 30%.
I don't change it, but it doesn't change that.
Yeah.
They already make more money than...
Oh, no, no.
Not to revise it.
We all, but the dirty...
Not to revise
He
it.
can't his own road, 'cause someday we might have that too.
Yeah, good
At least
point.
they got it out to 10%. Revised copy, and it may not be in our...
Wait a minute, did you get one, Bruce? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I checked.
Okay, that's good. Need to know.
You got one extra.
I got some for the press.
Just a revised copy of last week.
Revised copy?
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett put the finishing touches to it.
It needs to be done.
He's not gonna sit in the
Yeah.
second row and...
No, if you want me to, everybody knows that.
I'm just giving you bad time.
That one chair is wired, one of them's not, you figure out what you want. All right.
What is that, Russian roulette?
Well, I didn't want you guys to get something done early and have the ability to move your agenda along and have somebody here.
Yeah, yeah, you just never know, do you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, you did.
You guys function more efficiently than many other boards that I'm
No kidding.
a part of.
So this is the new, with all updated corrections that you discussed last week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's 10:17, we're back with regular session. We have Brett Leopold representing the city, the 2017-4 resolution regarding our 28B agreement with the Public Safety Commission.
I have the floor?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Recall last week, we went over, this agreement in some detail, and there were a couple changes. Yeah, I do. Sure. And there were a couple changes that, we discussed and one had made. And, if you turn to page 3, I'll point out the one. It's the first, second, third, fourth paragraph down that, the clerk, of the Humboldt County Public Safety Commission for purposes of handling the money in this proposed unified law enforcement district would be the Humboldt County Auditor. Makes sense. The other change was, there were two paragraphs that, were redundant. And that is, if you go to the last, well, page 5, I should say, paragraph 14, that paragraph encapsulates what two separate paragraphs were trying to say. And so, I guess what I'm here today is to request a couple things. First, I'll answer any questions if any have popped up, but first requesting that, the board approve this agreement, to establish the Unified Law Enforcement District and serve as the agreement between Humboldt County and that district for the provision of law enforcement services. And then second of all, approve the, pursuit of amending the, underlying documents for the Humboldt County Public Safety Commission to allow that body to administer this agreement. So those are the two things that I'm requesting that the board take action on. If the board takes action approving this, next steps would be, twofold. One, the cities would be approving this agreement as well, and two, I would be going to the city of Humboldt, to request the council's approval as well to, amend or revise the underlying Humboldt County Public Safety Commission documents, to allow for that body to administer the agreement. And so, I envision, at some point in time down the road, when those documents are ready, coming back and reviewing those with you and having you approve them as well. But I wanted your authorization to go down that path as well.
Do we have to amend the existing 28E if it's already in place?
Nope,
Or
so-
this will take place then?
This is supplanting it, to the extent that these cities are involved in that previous document. Otherwise, that document's gonna control the county's relationship with those other cities.
With the other town?
Yes.
Right. So, that was my other question. If another town, they have to go through the vote?
Well, no, so any of the other
They can
towns who
join
don't
in
have the
with
levy
it.
could join at any point in time, just because they haven't passed the levy, their payment for the services, those dollar amounts on page, 4, would be, that money would come from a different place.
Okay.
But it doesn't prevent them from being within the district. This actually gives them an opportunity, if their voters so choose, to have a vehicle to assess that levy.
Would this be my resolution 2017-4, this agreement, or is there something?
Well, I guess there may have been some miscommunication there.
Okay.
It need not be a resolution. Board can take action via motion or resolution. I normally use resolutions for agreements, but it's unnecessary, and I don't want that to sidetrack this body from taking action, so a motion would be appropriate.
Well, I'd make the motion, provided that, do we have to have our county attorney look at it, and make sure he's already looked at it? He's already got it?
And he says it's fine.
Then we're good with it, I'll make the motion, we approve.
Got a motion from Bruce,
Second.
second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all you have, and you sat there for as long as you
public
did?
safety amendment?
Well, no,
Is that all?
He's getting paid by the hour.
Hey, what I didn't want to have
That's all.
happen is you guys have a break and had time to go, and just, I wanna make sure that...
Brett, was that all inclusive, the Public Safety Commission also, is that the motion, all in one?
Right, yep,
Okay, okay.
yep.
So that's ready to go.
Thank you,
So I'll
sorry
be back.
about the wait.
Yep, no problem.
Okay.
That was easy.
Gosh, guys.
Will you
Or unless there's something else we
have
want
the
to discuss.
original signature from them though? Like, we've got our meeting Wednesday.
Okay, so duty, yeah.
However you wanna round those up.
You're looking
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm one guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Oh, you're tomorrow, you have it on your agenda? Okay.
Are we good, Angelique?
Yeah, we just need to get a, she'll get a
Signature on it.
signature, so that way their meeting and our meeting, and
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any other items we need to discuss?
We decide on a date for a work session, or orientation,
Uh,
goal setting.
So are we gonna try to get through some of these other bigger upcoming meetings, which, just the regular meetings, like, a lot of the month of January, which you said we don't wanna try to put any more on our plate. We're just gonna try to get through.
Well, I know Paul, he wants to have a little work session out there sometime soon, also.
But we said the 16th.
I'm fine, I'd like to get our goals out there in front of us, so we can think about them for a while.
Thanks.
I mean,
Thank you.
it gives us a couple of weeks, then we know we can discuss our goals, we can get them jotted down in order, and we can think about them a little bit, and then have another meeting after that. So I would think sometime on the 16th, we could do it right after our meeting.
Okay, the 16th is a holiday, the courthouse is closed. I didn't have it on, yeah, I
Yep,
didn't have it on
Dr.
your
Martin.
agenda.
Dr. Gibb.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have it on your, well, we're not closed for Martin Luther King, I'm sorry.
Well,
Right.
That's not a holiday, we're not closed.
Oh,
I
okay.
had-
You're not close.
I was thinking it was President's Day, but it's Martin
No,
Luther King.
no.
No, we're not closed, so 16th we will have.
Okay.
So you're proposing the work session after the regular meeting?
Yeah, is that all right? 'Cause I'm hoping.
If it was like this, I think we'd be in pretty good shape.
I think it won't be any longer than this.
Do you wanna, I mean, obviously, you wanna just preliminarily have the, after the meeting, kind of set some topics, or do you wanna try to get into?
Just sit
Goal
down,
setting.
well, a goal-setting session, some things that are on your head and your mind, things that we can improve our county by doing different things. Bruce has some ideas that I didn't even know about. Paul brought one up the other day to me.
Okay, question, strictly the Board of Supervisors for that session. Strictly.
It's open to the public.
Well, it's open to the public, but it's still a public meeting, granted, but we don't invite anyone else.
No.
If they want to sit in, they can.
They can't, well, I know.
Kick me out if I want to.
No, you, we're not talking about you per se, but not, yeah, it's still open, it's just
Yep,
it isn't an agendized meeting that we just
Be
got
no
through.
action taken.
there's no action, no voting. We are just going to talk about different options that we think of to improve the county.
Right, but I mean, yes, and I agree with that, but specifically, yes, an open public meeting, but it's more, that's, we're thinking about it. So the supervisors,
Yeah,
work,
we're
the
just-
supervisors' work session.
Yep, supervisor work session.
I'll see if we can get something gained, that would be next meeting then.
Next meeting.
After the board meeting.
Just whenever we're done, if it's, 15 minutes after we adjourn, we'll have it, take a little recess and
Yep,
All right,
fine
we're
by me.
So 16th?
the 16th.
Just so we're done by 8 o'clock for the Kansas game.
Oh, if we're still here at 8.
Well, we're not gonna be here at 8, Carl.
8 PM, that is.
And we are gonna make it stop at noon, so.
All right.
Fair enough.
We're not gonna solve anything, we're just gonna put suggestions out,
Agreed, very good idea.
Just make suggestions and we'll maybe categorize suggestions as we think of importance.
Those suggestions may come up later in different endeavors throughout the
In
year.
different meetings.
Well, I hope so.
So-
Is that it?
I believe so.
I move we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, guys.
Yep, I'll second
You guys second by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
We are